All right, here's a question. How are evening stars or morning stars created? So if you can type it in your chat box for me, that would be good. So how are morning stars and evening stars being created? Okay, so we have one. Thank you, Steve. Indecision on price, bulls and bears, waiting for news or an event. This one we have a strong bullish candle for the doji and the third strong bearish candle. Okay. Very nice. All right, so all your answers are correct. That depending on the trend, see how a morning star based on the lower low can result to just a correction. And can result to continuation. So correct that once there's a momentum, stability, indecision, and in between the bulls and the bears fighting, and you have an indecision. So one aspect is that if you are in a downtrend, especially a short-term downtrend, and you have this type of formation happening, becomes that you have peak. Just close your position and basically run. Means basically it's a failure. The highest probability that you basically have is that that low is right here, and you have a higher low. Then at least you have one clue that there could be a potential change of trend, and you have a higher probability that this will basically fail to the upside. Okay, the other aspect is that when you have a lower low, then you have a morning star with clear divergence to the upside. And a clear breakout of price of the actual trend. See, it's like price is in the void and a clear breakout. The probability that the price will continue is more than likely to happen. So the only factor is that standard deviation is 38.76. Just imagine it was on the 20th percentile. So yes, the rules, if you want to have a better high probability, is within the 20th or 30th percentile. Once approaching 50-50, then in actual fact it all depends where the price is sitting, to be honest. When something like this on the 38, sometimes I do take them with less position. However, actually what I look at now is the pure price action, since all indicators, in my opinion, are still lagging at any point in time. But with that pure divergence is really powerful. And at the end of the day, it's also the feeling aspect, following your own set of rules on position sizing. Okay, so simply change of direction, change of trend. Okay, so another thing is that if you see this is a nice, beautiful evening star overbought, lower high. question is, how far can we put this in terms of correction or retracement? Okay, here's going to be an exercise that you guys are going to do to go to the dollar Japanese yen 4-hour time frame and just move your screen to here. How will you draw your retracement levels in terms of your fibs? Okay, I'll give you guys a few minutes, and when you're finished, just type in your chat box and we'll go through it basically one by one. Okay, I'm going to start from you, Steve.
Okay, what did you want me to do with the screen now that I have it here?
Yeah, so how will you draw your fib levels, please?
Okay. Is that this point right here? Okay. We're looking at this point. Let me see. Ray, is this for this morning star?
Actually, it's still based on the evening star. So if you scroll to more to your left, right, so you can have so the morning star, sorry, evening star pattern. If you can, I'll show you this one right here. So we're looking at this. So you have a setup to go short. Then how can you define your target points using your fib levels?
Okay.
Okay, so when you guys have finished, just type in your chat box, and then I'll pass the presentation to whoever comes first. All right, let's have a look at yours, Ruba. All right, so that's Ruba's answer. Okay, who's finished? Okay, let's have a look at yours, Telly, then Steve. Hello, Telly. Hello. I believe you're muted, Telly. So we're looking at the dollar Japanese yen.
Okay, sorry, I think I was muted. My bad. Can you hear me now? Right.
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, yes. So I think I set up my fits in a different way than Ruba.
Okay. We're seeing your Euro USD.
Let's see. Can you see my screen now? No?
We can see Forex Factory.
Forex Factory. Okay, sorry. I changed the setup on my screen. Okay.
Okay.
Now.
All right. Okay, so also totally different. No worries. Okay, let's look at Steve's and then let's look at Vicky's. All right, Steve, your turn.
Actually set up with the first part of the first low, I guess, the cycle. And I did have a question about, I was initially looking at these two. These are exactly the same. And I don't know, would neither one of them would be considered any kind of a trough at that point?
Nothing. Yes.
So if I wanted to put a second one in, it would have to be like down here.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to. My question.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Then let's look at Vicky's.
So excuse me, Ray, as the Steve asked the question, so it's the same highs or the same lows, so we don't consider that low or high at all?
None, because they're in the same neutral based. You need an actual trough.
Okay.
Because if, say for example, looking at Vicky's screen, that if the blue candle that's really bullish is higher compared to the red candle, then the red and the blue that's even will be the actual trough. If that makes sense.
No, but you know the red and the blue candle, but the next blue candle is higher than.
Yes. However, what creates a trough?
The middle candle should be lower than the side candles.
Correct. So the sides of it, then the blue that's next to the one where Vicky's cursor is at, the low of the blue candle has to be higher than the low of that red candle.
Oh, okay.
And then you have the blue candle next to it, the one on the right that's equal to the low of the red candle. Then those two, you can just choose which one is which. So since they're the same, then those two will be the actual trough. Right? Okay, so Vicky, can you please explain to everybody why you drew your fibs in that sense?
Okay, so we're looking at this evening star here, and evening star by definition means that there's a potential for a correction, and we're looking at the correction from this upward move here, this whole upward move, and which is why I used the trough here to the highest point of this upward move to give the first fib, and then the second fib is from this particular trough up again to the highest point, because we're looking at a correction from this high point of this whole move downwards. So we're using that as a target point for profit. Does that make sense?
So did you guys understand what Vicky explained? Telly, Steve, and Ruben?
No, I understood that she was not using the regular formation that we would normally see for an M2, and she was using a previous candle next to the 3 candles that we usually use, and this is because she said it was because of a correction. And I guess I'm not really understanding why. If she could explain it again.
Okay, if you could explain again, please, Vicky,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yep. So evening star tells us that there's a likelihood that price will correct downwards. In this case, since it's an upward move, price is moving up. It's telling us that price may correct down. So we have to look at the highest point of this particular upward movement. And in this case, the highest point of this movement is not the peak of the evening star itself, but the peak here. So we're looking at the movement as a whole. And the correction is from this peak here to somewhere around here or here or here. And that's why I use this particular peak and not this. So this is a more significant peak for this whole particular movement as compared to this peak here. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
All right, Telly?
Yes, it makes sense, Vicky. Thank you.
Okay, and Ruma?
Yes, got it.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Thanks, Vicky. Okay. Alright, just bear with me for 1 sec. So one of the major definitions, if you read here, if you go through any type of definition of Fibonacci, then it will describe that Fibonacci retracement levels are calculated, of course, with those numbers, but I personally use the magic 3. of the impulse is considered to be the start of the move or impulse, while 100% is the high point of the move. So 0 of the impulse all the way to the high point of the actual move or the trend. Okay. So in other words, this is the highest point. This is the lowest point. Is this the highest point? No. Is this the highest point? No. Hence, from 0 of the move to the high of the move. So technically, these are the magic trees of potential where the price is going to reach. But because you also have another impulse off inside of this bigger impulse, well, there's simply a low or trough, then you have that. Hence, in terms of a correction, that if the price chooses to basically drop, then you have within these particular levels. Now, from what you drew, telling from from top to bottom, yep, definitely that's valid, but this is the retracement. Of this impulse. This impulse is also the retracement of this impulse. But it went beyond the 0 from 100%. That means then, theoretically, this could easily fail another 100% if it chooses to the downside. That's through Fibonacci's theory. Okay, so that's basically the theory behind fibs. So this now new impulse, a retracement of this past impulse. Notice only 50% trying to push through, didn't want to, failure. Right? It's coming back down all the way down here. So when basically you're in a downtrend, and you're seeing this, lows 119.41, 119.41.4. Holy moly! So exact number with that 38.2. Wow, it's actually very seldom I see this type of stuff. So 414. Look at the number. Spot on, dead spot on with the actual fib. So it's definitely predetermined. Some already knew about it, basically, that that's the support price that is going to get to in terms of the bid. Wow, pretty cool. So your highest probability basically winning is at 119.51 in terms of a correction. Then if I will extend, change that. Let me add then you have the 76.4%, 119.43.3, which is all highly confluenced with the big retracement right there of 119.41.4. All right. So now the other portion is that you have a higher high, you have a lower high. You have a higher low. What would be the next part of the series then?
Lower low or higher low?
Great. So in actual fact, to finish it off, is you need a lower low, because you already have a lower high. So you need 4 points in order to create a downtrend. Okay, let's move to the next one. Didn't even want to touch a 38.2 as a form of a correction. You're seeing a bullish candle. You have a lower low, but the low is higher compared to that. And you have a very bullish candle to the upside. What will you do? Type it in your chat box for me, please. You would at least probably made one win in terms of your target point. But if T1 will be your 38.2, so if you're using a supply demand, but let's just use the fibs just to make it objective. 38.2, 119.33. You didn't hit your target. What will you do now? Okay, so Ruba says closed, Teller says closed, Vicky says wait, Steve says closed. Okay, Okay, so if you close your positions, then you have managed to your risk. If you waited and just letting it stopped out, say you were away, you're sleeping, then very nice. So congratulations. Like in terms of both answers are simply correct. If you're the type of person who set and forget, then you definitely have been stopped out. Maybe perhaps this is going to be some form of irritation a little bit, because you'll be going like, dang it. The low of that one was 113.44, 4, and 33.6. You'll be going like, oh, just less than 1 pip. Didn't take it and it went to the upside. Now, if you're awake and you're seeing that, you can say, doesn't look good, didn't want to. You have a very bullish pattern, a bullish candle. You close your position. What is the other alternative answer?
Wait, what was your question? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, so now you're seeing this. There's another alternative answer in terms of what will you do as a question.
If I hold, it's too late.
I'm sorry?
If I was going to hold my move, would it be too late? Maybe because the candle's already coming back to me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But if you were there, then you would close. Okay.
I would have just closed, yeah.
Okay. So there's another alternative answer though. Exactly. Very good, Steve. See how for me trading is like playing chess. That if it doesn't go your way, then you need to think of another alternative, another strategy. Because at this point you're in defense. What is your offense? To go long. If it didn't work out, then you go with it. Okay. So simply, patterns are not just a method number 2. It's just, yes, on the basic level, it's so easy. You have your setup. Because in trading, you need a setup. What is the setup? The setup is either to buy or to sell. Well, of course, the other part of the answer is also hold when there's no setup. But once there's a setup, either you go long or you go short. That's basically it. Which creates now your 33% chance of winning. So what increases now the odds? You have a lower high, overbought, it's downtrend. That increases basically now from a 33% chance to say 90 all the way to 99.999 to 100%. So did it work out the next day? Absolutely, it did work out. Now the thing that you also need to be aware is that you have a lack of force or some force.
lack of force.
Exactly. So when you're seeing a depletion and a lack of force, you have to think twice. Where price is a level demand, since it's a 4-hourly time frame, technically that's a day trading strategy. If you're the type of person, if you're coming through now the spirituality aspect, if you're not greedy, then you've made 8 to 12 pips. And you're going to say, well, they'll do pig, no problem, I'm out. Of course, on the third bar, it went a little bit more lower, making 20 pips. But you're seeing that then as part of now the strategy is that the setup basically is finished, didn't want to play the game. What is the next part? Go long. Why? Because bullish, higher high, lower low, a lot of momentum, a lot of force, probability to go through within this level is highly probable. So that being said, that if your entry right there, maybe in the last position you're down 10 pips, but you also went long, you're up 25, 30 pips, minus a 10, then you're overall you've made 20 pips plus 10 to 12 pips from your short position. And that's basically where you're at. Okay, so what did you guys learn from this live case scenario? I'll start from Rubo.
I learned that how to draw fibs, like how important is the low and the high, because when we draw fibs, we should always remember the low of the impulse and the high of the impulse. So from that point, 2 points should be considered to draw the fibs. And second is the evening star, and I should not be greedy in this trade if I wasn't into it, because it hasn't performed it. So whatever it gave me, get it. And if it's not going more down, then just get out of the trade and buy instead of holding for long.
Very good. All right. Tally, what did you learn? Hello, Tally. You are probably muted on your end. Can't hear you.
It keeps happening on my mic. Sorry.
No problem.
So yeah, I agree with Ruben. Eliminate the risk, take the profit. Most important thing, if it changes direction towards my plan, then go long. In this particular case, we were shorting it or selling it now, so we buy it and just go with it. But look at the patterns basically.
Okay, nice. Steve? Maybe you're muted on your end too, Steve. Oops, hello Steve, hello. Okay, Steve is not around there. Vicky, please.
Yeah, definitely agree with Ruba. Not to be greedy and also to be like flexible when looking at the candles and plan for like an alternative strategy.
Great. Looking at the candles, reading the candles. So these are your basics. And alternative strategy. Okay,
Sorry, I dropped out.
no problem, Steve.
I'm back again.
Okay, great.
Did you hear what I learned, or?
No, we didn't actually, Steve. So what did you learn, Steve?
Okay, well, what I learned was that making sure that when you
Oops. Hello, Steve.
He's gone.
Yeah. Gone. So, anyway, I'm going to share one. One of the members that I currently do one-on-ones with him, after how many months being now in the program, finally, for some reason, something clicked. Something that one of his brothers basically stated, and also sometimes you need to be cruel to be kind. Same thing. Part of the coaching is that they're just being direct. Bam. So now he got his account to break even and made more money than what he could earn in his normal job. And he's apparently stoked. He's really happy, being consistent. And what today, looking at his account, what surprised me is that his wins are way bigger than his losses. At least probably 7 times to 10 times more than the actual loss. See, that is now a professional trader. And I'm proud to say too that Vicky is also one of them. Knowing when to get out, when it's time to get out, and really managing basically the risk. That if it doesn't work out, take your profit and basically run, and if it goes against you, simply close it and go the other way if you choose to. That's the only difference, I believe, that if it doesn't work, close your position, take the ego aside, and just let it go. So to see members is phenomenal, and this is what I love what I do. Is to see someone progress to go to a different level. Because for me, my learning too is this. And it took a while, and it burnt me numerous bank accounts because of this. For me, it's because of my righteousness. That I want to be right. Because I don't want to lose. Because for me, I don't like losing. But to see and to learn from others, when you're egoless, and this is where the results go to a different level. So it's all about progression. But to get to that state, or to also to go to that level, is through persistence. not giving up. And then for you to actually see the actual real you and having a big change as part of that. So for me, if I inspired even one person to actually change, I've done my job basically in this lifetime. And that's basically part of the, to inspire. Oh, yes, you made me feel inspired. Thanks, Taylor. Yes, same. So, yeah, one day I'm going to ask permission from him and see if he could share his experience. I have another member.
That would be great.
He's a beginner. Guess what? He doubled his account just using the basic element of what we're doing in the beginner level. He's been trading for a while. He has a lot of losses basically in the past, and finally he made the jump of becoming a member with us, and he made 100%. I was asking basically, so what did you do? Just following the rules. Following based on what the simple things that you're showing us. But what I saw as well is his meticulousness. He emails me once a week. Your performance based on the group coaching. His one is totally different to others. He gives me a detailed report on what he's doing basically on a weekly basis. That is a difference. That's even without me giving him the trading checklist. So it's really awesome to see the mindset of someone I believe everybody in the program are phenomenal. I mean, Ruby has never traded before. Like I said, you're also a person to reckon with as a trader. And Taylor's persistence. I mean, everybody, you guys inspire me actually, and that's why I keep going. What I'm doing is because of what you guys do, and to see you progress. For me, that's, it's giving me the fuel and the energy to keep going. Like I said, I just use trading as a vehicle to inspire someone to change, to go to the next level. Right. Pretty cool. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming along. And I will stop through here, and I'm going to continue towards the advanced. Okay, so we're really more than happy to stay with this because I have to go through something with you anyway. And it will be a good review as well for Vicky and Julian.
Sure.
All right, I will close this though, and just basically just come back because I'm going to record the session. So Taylor, thank you for coming along. Great to see you online, and we'll see you shortly.
Oh, thank you.
All right.